mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, where I watch shit so you don't have to. And today I'm here to talk about Season 5, Episode 9 of FX's Snowfall, entitled Departures. I think this is an appropriate title because this show features a couple of departures. I think the first being the pretty obvious, overt one that Franklin seems to be departing from the game, the drug game. He tells Teddy at the end of the episode, I'm out. He kind of says the same thing to Louie as well, Louie and Jerome. And he's kind of like, okay, I already wanted to get out, and now things have come into play that make this possible. Like, okay, Louie, you want to have my job? You want to deal with what I've dealt with? You want this responsibility? Fine, works for the both of us. You want it, I don't. Good, I'm out. So we get a departure from Franklin, but we also get a departure from from good writing and good television because, man, this show. It's like we got a departure from good writing and they hired a bunch of monkeys and gave them typewriters and were like, hey, just write your stereotypical fucking like hood show and we'll just, we'll take whatever it is you come up with. Simeon, whatever the fuck that feels like a monkey name. I don't know. But this episode was frustrating because one, it's the penultimate episode of season 5. You want to drum up some excitement for the finale. And really not much happened in this episode. It was a very uneventful penultimate episode. And that's an interesting decision to me because it feels like this episode really just wanted to serve as a bridge between episode 8 and episode 10. It dealt with some of the events that happened in episode 8. And it set up very lazily events that could take place in episode 10 involving Louie taking over, involving Kane potentially finding out that Louie is responsible for what happened to him. There's so many things involving Louie. Louie's bad decisions with Buckley. Like, there's so many things that could come into play in episode 10, and this episode just kind of seemed to set that up. It's my hope that episode 10 will deliver. There's a number of ways and directions in which they could go that could be interesting and fun or exciting or whatever. But my hopes and expectations are really low because it's like the show just gets lazier every week, it seems like. And I don't know what happened. It's like they flipped the switch in episode 5 and we're just like, yeah, fuck it. We're not going to do anything good anymore. Like we're just going to limp across the finish line and then we could be, dragged to the next race going into season 6. And then we'll limp through that one as well. And it makes me wonder if, looking at the first 4 episodes, if I were to go back to those episodes again, would I be harder on the show and I guess point out things that I might have overlooked when I originally watched them? A good example of this is is Franklin flying an airplane. Like, I think I actually mentioned it in the first video. Like, where the fuck did this come from? This motherfucker got a pilot license out of nowhere? Like, he's just flying planes now? And that was weird, but I wasn't too hard on it. But when you've had a season full of the second half of the season, full of the kind of shit we've been seeing with fucking tigers and LSD, it's like you just throw the pilot shit on the pile of ridiculous things that this show has done this season. So, there's a lot going on here. So I want to start by, I kind of want to go at this by character because there's a lot of things that I think we learned about certain characters in this episode that I want to talk about. And the main one being Louie. Louie's disappointing to me. And when I say Louie is disappointing, I don't mean the character. She's not real. I mean what they have done to the character. And given that the actress, Angela Lewis, I believe is her name, is from here. She's from Detroit. Like, I'm tired of shows that have a male protagonist and they take a female protagonist who is affiliated with that male and somehow just make her the thorn in his paw and make her the reason everything goes wrong. I don't know why shows are so intent on making a woman the man's downfall. Everything they've done with Louie, they could have done with Jerome. And I'd probably be less irritated by it. Because I'd be like, all right, Jerome's a fucking hothead. Like, Jerome's a guy that he has some sense some of the time, but he's mainly driven by emotion. And that's when you get poor decision making. And you could have switched the characterizations and it would have been more acceptable, I think, to me, to have Jerome be the one who's greedy and making ridiculous decisions and putting everybody at risk because he's volatile. And then you could have Louie being the one that's kind of zen and finding herself and trying to get out of the game and be more sensible. But they've chosen, for whatever reason, to have this happen in the opposite direction. And I think because it's Louie, it frustrates me even more, all the stupid shit they've done with this character. So I don't even know where to start with with all the things that I have, I guess, all the issues that I have with some of the decisions that Louie has made in these past couple episodes. I guess for one, the start is the stop on a dime kind of turn they did with Louie, who has been very smart for the entirety of the show. And then all of a sudden, she's just making bad decision after bad decision after bad decision. And I think what frustrates me the most, well, the second most, because the most is the fact that it didn't have to be Louie. They could have done it with Jerome and it would have worked. But I think now what frustrates me the second most is her justification for it. It was a very lazy fucking excuse. You know, you have Leon come up and he's like, well, what? Actually, before that, let's just talk about all the ways in which Louie done fucked up. Number one is, first and foremost, is going behind Franklin's back to set up this deal with Teddy. And that's just like, I don't understand how, as a black woman, and you are doing this kind of shit with your family, that you would think of all the people to kind of like sneak around and go behind their back, why would it be your own nephew? Like I don't know. I just feel like this could have been better in any way, but the writers didn't want to make it to where we can justify Louie doing something like that. They just decided, like, all right, we're going to have Louie fuck everything up. So let's just make Louie dumb as fuck and have her do a bunch of shit that's going to put Franklin in trouble. And it's like, they just, I don't know, she just, deciding to do something like that is just ridiculous. Then the decision to go after Buckley, even when they already, to have Buckley go after Kane, even when they already had a deal with Kane, again, not telling Franklin. Again, why would a character who's been smart this whole time, who is the aunt of the protagonist, and they've been big on family this whole time, all of a sudden just decide to start doing dangerous shit behind his back without telling him? It's just so out of character and so lazy from the writers to just have her start doing this without selling us on the transition. Like, they sold us on the idea of Louie and Jerome wanting to do their own thing, but they didn't sell us on the idea of Louie actively making decisions that would harm Franklin, and we're just all supposed to sit here and pretend like this shit makes sense. But, you know, hiring Kane to go after, like, she could have just talked to Franklin and been like, you know, I still have issues with this, blah, 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 blah. Having, you know, feeling like you're good and then having your aunt go behind your back to potentially make things worse is a bad decision in the first place. But then, of course, it's a TV show. There was no way that was going to be a successful hit. No way. And sure enough, it wasn't. And now Kane, although apparently paralyzed, is still alive. And it's very likely that his people are going to find out she's behind this. And then they're going to end up killing off Louie. And I'm going to be left to sit here and go, well, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. You wrote a stupid fucking storyline for this character, and now they're dead. And I should feel bad about it. I'd have felt bad about it if it happened at the end of last season. But now I'm just like, well, you gave her a bunch of stupid shit to do. She got a stupid result. Like, and it's just so irritating. And then the last stupid thing she did, why would you go into your office, find Buckley in there already high, let him take your Coke, dump the whole thing on the table, start snorting it, and then go, I'm going to put you on payroll and pay you double. What dumb fucking drug dealer puts a junkie on payroll? Like, and didn't you, like, from Louie's perspective, Peaches just did the same thing. Peaches became a junkie, he was on payroll, and he fucked everything up. So from Louie's perspective, she should have already learned about junkies being on payroll with Peaches, even though I don't believe that that's what happened with Peaches, but the show doesn't give a fuck about what happened with Peaches either. Even if you don't believe that Peaches did everything that the show and the characters believe he did, still from their perspective, Peaches was a junkie on payroll, and it got everybody almost killed. And then Louie turns around and goes, oh, another junkie. Let me put this one on payroll too. Oh my God. Like, why did they make her so fucking stupid, man? And like, it's just so irritating. And circling back to my original point, the thing that makes me the second most angry is her justification. Like, oh man, you know, it's hard out here for a black woman. What the fuck does that have to do with making stupid fucking decisions? Like, oh, it's hard out here for a black woman. You know, that I gotta be hardcore. So let me stab my nephew in the back in multiple ways and put junkies on the payroll because they're potentially ex-cops who know people. Like, that's just so lazy. It's like, okay, we're gonna make the character dumb out of nowhere, and then we're gonna justify it on some racial shit. Like, oh, yeah, it's hard out here for a black woman. That is so fucking lazy, man. And this was an irritating episode for Louie, man. Just watching a character like this who is one of the better characters on the show, making dumb decisions for dumb reasons and giving dumb justification for it. And it's like now something's gonna happen. Like, you know, either Buckley's gonna do something that's gonna get them in trouble, Kane's gonna send his people, something's gonna happen that's gonna get them in trouble, something's gonna go wrong with Teddy, something's gonna go wrong. And I'm just gonna be left to sit here like, well, you was in charge, you know, you wanted to stab your nephew in the back. He stepped out the game. He gave you what you wanted. You're in charge. Now everything's all fucked up and you dead or Jerome dead and it's your own fault. And why did the writers just decide to just stop on a dime and make this character dumb and have her tear everything down when you could have, in the first 5 episodes, built up something to where they really should be going at each other's throats. But then you kind of reconcile it, but then still have her do reckless shit to put Franklin in danger. So, man, I really can't get over that. It's hard out here for a black woman shit, man. Like, connect the dots for me on how it being hard for a black woman is like, how do you get from it's hard to be a black woman drug dealer to let me betray my nephew? Okay, whatever, dog. Another irritating and poorly written character who really got to show just how poorly written they are in this episode is this guy Ruben that Sissy's been meeting with. He meets with Sissy, and for whatever reason, he wants to feel like it's her fault that things are not going good. He's like, yeah, you know, if you had got your shit together, you know, everything would be fine. And she's like, you know, short of betraying my son, I've done everything that you asked me to do. I served up Avi and Gustavo at this wedding. Did you get any information? This motherfucker goes, I could have gotten more if you kept your head straight, but yeah, it was useful. Kept her head straight. She ain't do LSD on purpose, motherfucker. Like, what are you talking about? Like, why would you write that line? Like, oh, if you kept your head, like when the writer was writing that, like, if you had kept your head, at like you didn't think like, well, Sissy didn't actually do anything wrong. She just she got her chocolate spiked. How is that her responsibility? How you gonna hang that on her? Meanwhile, you at the fucking wedding just being a complete and total fuck up yourself. And it's just, why would you write this shit, man? I just don't get it. I don't get it. Oh God, that really irritated me. So also, like I alluded to earlier, Kane is alive. He looks like he's going to be paralyzed, but there's going to be a whole lot of fallout from this. Obviously, Buckley was not supposed to do this. He did it anyway while high. He gets suspended and drug tested, a drug test that will inevitably show that he is on cocaine, and he still continues to go hard with the coke. He visits his baby mama. She won't let him see his kids, so now he's even more upset. Now he's doing more coke. He goes to goes to level up and buy some crack because he said, "You gonna give me that rock?" Decides he wants to level up and get some crack. Robs some people for it, so that's gonna come back around. At least on a show with good writers, that will come back around. I don't know what they expect now, but that should come back around. And then, like I said, he's up in there doing Louie's coke and making all these demands and putting all this on her, demanding this money, even though she rightfully points out that Kane is still alive. So what am I paying you for? A paralyzed Kane that's not good enough. That's not the same thing. So, I mean, that's kind of really most of what we got out of this episode was just a lot of the bad decisions from Louie. That scene with Ruben really pissed me off. And Franklin essentially getting out. He tells Teddy, he kind of tells Louie and Jerome. It kind of felt like he was just talking shit. I don't think they looked at that as like, oh, Franklin's out. I think they just looked at it as like, well, you wanted to be in charge. Let's see how you handle it. And they kind of looked at it as like a passive aggressive kind of threat almost, but not a threat from him, a threat about things will happen to you that you are not equipped to handle. But since you wanted to do this so bad, here you go. So that's kind of what we came away with. But I do have a couple of things that I want to talk about at the end. And again, as usual, my thoughts are at this point all pointing out things I didn't like. So Teddy takes dumbass Parissa with him to meets now. I hate this character. She didn't even do anything in this episode, but I'm just watching and I'm like, you couldn't let her sit in the car and like masturbate to Al Qaeda videos. Like why is she fucking actually here with Avi? Like, again, like I said, they made Teddy stupid too. So now Teddy's taking just a random, I mean, he's not random to her, but she's random to us. This random girl on him to go meet with Avi. Like, and then he has the nerve to tell Louie that this security can't come because of what Franklin did. But meanwhile, you taking masturbate the gunshot wounds girl to meetings with Avi. Like, again, the writing is out of control here. Like, no one thought like, yeah, that's kind of hypocritical of him to be really serious about who Louie brings to meets, but then now he's taking Parissa to meets, who has done absolutely nothing on this show to warrant that other than masturbating and sewing up gunshot wounds. Whatever. I hate that character. I already mentioned the thing about Franklin flying planes being goofy, and it's one of those things, like I said, I kind of let it go in episode 1. I'm like, I guess that happened in the off season. I'll let that slide. But when you throw all this other dumb shit on there, now it's just, let me just throw this on the dumb shit pile that Franklin can out of nowhere got a pilot's license in the off season and bought a plane and showed up randomly with Veronique, who was not introduced at any point. Like, I'm watching like, who is this? And we just got to piece together it's somebody that Franklin's dating. Why couldn't you have her either introduced to season 4 and kind of like build a relationship with them, or start building a relationship with them in this season, and maybe that she gets a little bit more involved in his life, maybe around episode 4 or 5. But instead, they just put her up in episode 1, like we're supposed to know who this is, and it's like, yeah, she's pregnant. Oh gosh. In a show that was once like replete with believably smart characters, Gustavo's now like the only one left. And Gustavo correctly points out, like, hey, don't you think it's a bad idea to sell to your current partner's aunt behind his back? And Teddy's just like, it's fine. Because like I said, Teddy's stupid now too. So whatever. Does any of you care about this out of nowhere love angle between Leon and Wanda? Like, I know that they had a thing before, but like, I think for like a couple seasons now, we've been seeing this whole thing of him trying to like get her out of doing things that are dangerous for her, with being on drugs and all that kind of shit. And he has shown care for her and all that. I'm not saying that that's out of nowhere. I'm just saying it's out of nowhere that they didn't start to build something again. Like, okay, now she's sober. Now they're building something like, where a couple of moments where they're having conversations and they're smiling at each other, or, they go out and have drinks together, something where you can build up to, I want to leave and I want you to come with me. But no, they didn't build up to that because, again, these writers didn't give a fuck. All the writers cared about in this season is the destination and not the trip to get there. And it's like, I want to go to, let's say, Hawaii, and I'm not gonna plan on how to get there. I'm just gonna start walking, and then you get to the fucking Pacific coast, and you're like, how the fuck am I gonna get to Hawaii now? And then like shit just jumps ahead, and now you're there. Like, they didn't really care about the trip; they only cared about the destination. And I said they put no effort into selling me on the idea of Leon wanting to take such a big step with Wanda. But whatever. I don't care about it anyway. It's not interesting, and I don't care about it because they didn't do any work to building it up. And lastly, fuck Peaches, huh? Fuck Peaches. Because, I mean, like I've been wondering about Peaches since episode 1. Like, yo, they sure are showing him coughing a lot. And then they gave that lazy ass, like, oh, Peaches must have did it. And then I guess they expected us to just forget about that? Nah, man. Like, I want to know where Peaches is. Like, am I supposed to accept what we've heard so far as the reality? That Peaches was just out of nowhere a junkie. Peaches just out of nowhere set up all this shit to happen to them, including Kane attacking them, and skip town, and we're never going to see Peaches again. Like, am I supposed to believe that? If I'm supposed to believe that, which I kind of do now because it's an indicative of lazy fucking writing, so I would believe it now, but how fucking lazy is that? Like, that's how we end Peaches' story, taking a character who's been loyal as fuck for 4 seasons, making him disloyal off camera, and then getting rid of him. That's how we're gonna write this? or it's something else, like I've been saying all season, and you just decided, yeah, we're just going to completely fuck off from that and give you guys tigers and LSD and all this other shit in between, and we're just going to fuck off from the Peaches shit. Don't worry about it. And it's the same thing. Fuck Alton, huh? Like, we're never going to find out what happened there, huh? Like, we know he disappeared. We can assume he's dead, but we didn't see anything happen with that. Teddy's denying having anything to do with it, and that was in, like, episode 2. And I was just saying last night, I ended season 4 wondering, like, what's up with Alton? Like, is he going to be alive? Is he going to be dead? Is Sissy going to find him dead when he gets back? Like, what's going to happen with this? Is Sissy going to be dead too? And now we are now entering the season 5 finale, and I know nothing more about what happened to Alton. But I know that a taxidermist keeps tigers in Compton. Stupid fucking shit, man. All right, I've shit on this episode enough. I have no anticipation for the finale whatsoever, but I will be here next week to cover it. I hope that they manage to pull this together into something entertaining and respectable and try to save face in this final episode, but I don't expect it. So I'll see you guys next week for episode 10. No promises on me even covering season 6 at this point, but we'll see. Until next week, peace.